Hey, what's going on, guys? William Barry here, coming at you live from the power of the internet. I am a music react guy, a video gamer. I do a bunch of dumb stuff here on YouTube. I also make cheesy video essays that have such low quality you would imagine they took a handful of minutes to make, and meanwhile they take me months and I'm dog shit. But the thing that's important here is I'm also all of those things, including a game reviewer, all that stuff. I'm also an AI guy, okay? I make AI music as well. And I know Prof has recently said some things against that, and I agree with what he's saying. I feel like he's just misrepresenting the side that he's talking about. But I love him with all my heart. And, I will defend people that make AI music, but for the sake of just making something creative. I don't necessarily like the idea of like taking jobs from people. But that's a hard conversation to get into. And maybe one of these days I'll make a deep dive letter to myself talking about that very thing. But for now, let's get into like the musical masterclass that is what Prof does by injecting jazz and hip hop and blending it into like this weird, different style of music that I feel like he alone has somehow captured the core center of. All right, let's see what he's got.
Yeah. Are you going through some hard times? Times is tough, times is blue. You need to get yourself a good time boy to make.
I'm always hesitant to speak about generalities when I watch music videos because they're always also based off of the time that they're made. And sometimes our information on such topics are incomplete. But I feel pretty safe in saying that a majority of people right now around the world are probably suffering under a pretty heavy financial burden. The war in Iran is not doing anyone any favors. Tariffs around the board are not helping anybody. Inflation is at a staggering high. Every country is now suffering worse off than they were about a year or two ago. Now, there's only been one change there, and I'm not here to get into politics. This is a music reaction. But when you ask a legitimate question like, are you feeling kind of shitty right now? I feel like a universal answer is, yeah, I think I am. You know what I mean? All right. So if he's asking a question that we're all going to agree with, I only wonder how he's going to subvert that by the end of it.
You need to get yourself a good time boy to make things worse. You're talking to a good time boy from around the way. Walk around town with a tuck pistol. Keep me around when your luck is low. Had a whole lot of problems, fist full of condoms. Just another motherfucking good time boy.
Dude, he's got such a way of doing it, bro. I knew he was gonna subvert that. He has his Prof, dude. I think jazz is literally all about subversion, if I'm not mistaken. Subversion and improvisation, right? That's like the whole thing. Like
condoms, just another motherfucking good time boy. Seduce me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning. Throw me some weight.
Vegas on a Sunday morning. Fuck, dude. The night after a good night, dude. A good night. A good night is a bad perspective to have on that sentence, by the way. But, like, we all want to party. We never want to deal with the ramifications of what happened after a party. Like, the damage you did. What does your bank account look like? What does the room look like? What terrible decisions did you make with your boys? What ideals and things did you compromise? These are like questions you have to deal with the morning after. I like that.
Me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning. Throw me some weight, I'm drowning. Who's handing out free do-overs?
Throw me some weight, I'm drowning. Fuck. I feel that, dude.
Morning, throw me some weight, I'm drowning. Who's handing out free do-overs? Seduce me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning.
Look, I'm not supposed to get political, but I'm a very political person, and I think everything boils down to politics. I can. I'm starting to build my own theory of the world. Now, it's probably not correct, and remember, I'm just a moron. So, you know, take what I say. If anything, it just can give you another point of reference to view from. Okay. Um, I feel like everything in the world can be compiled down to a point of reference, and it's everything is essentially to two different factors, either the factors for the self or the factors for the other, more or less. And every time we make a decision, we're weighing these two things against one another and we're making decisions. But something that sucks is so many people say they're for one side when that's not the case. People are a very complicated creature where they're doing things every day based off of different factors. For me, something that's very interesting is that neither one of these factors can exist without the other. There can be no others if there is no self, but the self needs others to understand the self. So there are two forces that are in a symbiotic relationship, but everyone likes to think they placate to one side. I think that's very interesting.
Seduce me with safety.
Oh, and where I was going with that was I feel like this could be brought to a modern example. Like right now, people like Donald Trump are making the claim that stop asking questions, believe what we're saying, we have your best interest in mind. However, we have it on good authority that they're lying. We've caught them in numerous lies up to this point. So the big danger is that all of our society is held together by thin strings of agreed consent. If the people that are acting in our interest are knowingly lying to us, how can we take them at their word that they have our best interest in mind? It creates give me liberty or give me death. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Those who ask for security in the name of giving up their freedoms essentially give up the right to be free. If you take it to its logical conclusion, it leads to libertarian brain rot bullshit. But the important question is, like right now, a lot of people feel like they're being lied to by a system, and it feels like we're being forced to eat a pile of shit that we don't want to eat and we don't need to eat. Now, he's saying it in a playful way and dressing it up in these very beautiful music realities. But, like, at the end of the day, we kind of all agree that, like, this is not the shit that we want.
Some weight I'm drowned in. Who's handing out free do-overs? Seduce me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning. Don't be some weight I'm drowned in. Who's handing out free do-over? Life's a prison, only came here for the motherfucking view.
Yep. Yeah, this is so essentially we're doing a psychology class. Life is a prison. Like at the end of the day, you are born without consent. Two people got together, they fucked, and they had you. Like you didn't opt into this existence. It was forced upon you. So to some extent, you don't have free will. But on the flip side, in the paradigm of life, you have free will. It isn't just a fucking binary. Not every choice you make, you're going to preordained for you. But there is some buy-in. You live in a society. That society was created by shared inheritance of people's values and morals and principles and knowledge that has been passed down through time, but you were thrust into it. You're just another link in the chain, but by being there, you are of the utmost importance, and what you do as that link matters for the next link. Any damage you do can be dramatically impactful to the rest of the entire weave of whatever your fucking biological line is. So, like, yeah, you're forced in here. It's a prison. You can't really escape. Or if you do, you're damning all of the people that came before you that gave you any of that momentum. All the things you inherited from them, their knowledge, their wisdom, their their riches, their woes, their pains, their disgusts, their fucking fetishes, and whatever, man. That shit carries on through. So the choices you make don't only have an impact for you, but they have an impact for your entire bloodline if it continues past you.
Life's a prison, only came here for the motherfucking view. If the truth don't set me free, then how the fuck am I here talking over you?
This is another, oh my God, dude. Prof, get out of my fucking head, bro. Another thing that, look, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not making defense for flat earth. And I'm doing a video on this very topic that'll be coming out in like a couple weeks. But one thing that flat earthers get right, by and large, is that a majority of our knowledge is inherited, okay? A lot of people that defend the earth being round do so with a bad defense. This is the important factor, okay? The person that is a flat earther is just essentially saying, I distrust the establishment. And the person that's going to say the earth is round is going to use the establishment to prove the flat earther wrong. But that doesn't prove the flat earther wrong. That just further reinforces his already pre-built theory. Because any idea that comes from the establishment can't defunct it when the problem is the establishment itself. So one of the best ways to diffuse someone in this situation, from my personal experience, is to own the solid truth. The truth is, I personally do not know that the earth is round. But I have no reason to distrust the institutions that state so. This way you can reframe the conversation around what the real issue is about. It has nothing to do with the earth being flat or round. These people are trying to critique the system and they just want to be heard and taken seriously. You just need to give them an outlet to vent that frustration. But everything we have is inherited. If we're sitting here saying that the earth is round without any objectable proof, the more you dig in to say that you know a thing without physically knowing a thing, you know of a thing. That's like your level of knowledge on a lot of the topics. We know of a thing, and we know what side has been deemed the correct side, and we want to agree with that side because that side is more or less on the correct side of history. But if we were to flip the script and put it on something that you know to be 100% correct, true, and everyone else in the world said it was wrong, you would fight that tooth and nail because you know it to be true. It's the conversation is just about what you actually know and what you know in proximity to like information that's shared. But that's a hard conversation no one ever wants to get into because it involves us admitting that more of our life is controlled by forces outside of our understanding. And a lot of people would never want to give up that level of autonomy.
How the fuck am I here talking over you? What you think, angel? Come judge me. Had a blade to the wrist, I'm lucky. When I'm drunk and alone, come fuck me. Stay alive, man, the world getting dusty. If you selfish little bitch, don't trust me. Just trying to get by being my day. Would you mind if I had a good day? Motherfucker, you talking to a good time boy from around the way?
Yeah, dude. Like, so something that is, I always think about is like, you guys ever remember that episode of True Detective, like when it first starts, and Matthew McConaughey is sitting there talking to fucking what's his ass about how he's a nihilist or whatever, and he just collectively we should all just sod off, but we just can't go against our programming. Our programming demands that we, survive even if we know that it's a futile thing. And his buddy's just like, just stop saying odd shit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what it's like to be a good time boy. Like, you're always sitting there thinking your way through a very complex system, and other people are just like, enjoy the moment. And you're like, I am. This is my way of enjoying it. Fuck. Anyway. We good time boys.
Walk around town with a tuck pistol. Keep me around when your luck is low. Had a whole lot of problems. Fist full of Vegas on a Sunday morning. Throw me some weight, I'm drowned in. Who's handing out free do-overs? Seduce me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning. Throw me some weight, I'm drowned.
Something that I wonder though is if he's also critiquing the idea of a person wanting to escape the person that they are. Because like I say this, I've been saying this more recently in more of my videos, but people are so self-confident that they think that like they figured out everything, that if they just had another chance, they'd make everything correct. When the closest approximation of truth that I can detect from that is that the person is so ego fucked, they think that like if they just had another opportunity, they'd be better off. When the reality is most people, or the closest approximation to reality, is that most people and most choices happen in very odd ways. And like no path is going to be better than the other path. It all depends on the metrics in which you're defining success down that path. No matter who you are, the part of your mind is going to always be wanting more. If you had a really good family, but you didn't make a lot of money, you're going to be sitting there going, fuck, dude, if only I had the money to do the things I wanted. But then if you flip the script and you're the other person on the other side of the spectrum, that person would be sitting there going, fuck, man, I wish I had a family. Like people are perpetually going to victimize themselves no matter what. Something that we have to do is try to do everything in our power to never wrap ourselves in like righteous victimization. Like you can be a victim, but the goal is not to be a victim forever. Like eventually it's to transcend the goal of victim, or not the goal of victim, but the title of victim, to a survivor. It's not to stay a victim forever. Eventually there's going to be some form of ownership or some form of responsibility being tasked that you have to meet. But it's a very complicated topic, man, where people's egos flare up. It just can't be it can't be done.
Some weight, I'm drowned in. Who's handing out free do-overs? Seduce me with safety, baby. I'm Vegas on a Sunday morning. Throw me some weight, I'm drowned in. Who's handing out free do-overs? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Got a fleeting sense of well-being. I'm doing better than I deserve. I'm the luckiest man on this earth. If you got a cough, you can sip my serve.
It's so easy to see the world through the eyes of a victim. Hell, to some extent, even PROF did that here. But he's saying something that's true. And I imagine people like PROF have to struggle with in a way that none of us will ever understand. Now, this is not to say PROF has not earned his wealth. You know what I mean? PROF has earned what he's worked for. He's worked his ass off. But now he's hitting a threshold of success to where he is starting to hit a different metric of life. You know what I mean? Now he's hitting the metric of success where he has the time to pontificate his failures, choices, and actions. The poorer you are, the less likely you are to have the time to do that. You don't have time to ponder the what, when, where. You know what I mean? Like, that comes when you have a certain level of security that you can think these things through. Thinking these things through create beautiful results and a fuller, better person. But someone could hear that and go, oh, so I just need money to be a better person. No, the money does not make you a better person. It can make you a better, fuller person because it gives you the opportunity to work on yourself. But it doesn't mean you're going to use that opportunity that way. There are people that have millions of dollars who have never taken the time to work on their flaws. You can always tell a person from another person when you deal with someone who's worked on some of their things, and when they're forced and tasked with thinking about something that they have to think about in a contentious ways, whether they get hyper aggressive, super aggressive, or more importantly, people that are willing to strip away their own perspective are going to be way more amenable on way more issues just because they're willing to see a different point of view. That doesn't come with money. Money just gives you the ability to pursue these things more frequently because you aren't as concerned about safety or security. But it's beautiful that PROF recognizes that he's now entering this new like threshold. He's becoming the top 1% of people. And though he's worked his ass off and he knows that he's busted his ass for the stuff that he has, he's starting to see a disparity in the people around him. That, like, let's just say this, all 5 of my good friends are all Republican and I'm the poor one. You know what I mean? Like, they're all the ones that have decent jobs, and they're usually the ones that support my channel when they come in and throw a little, like, something, like, but you know what I mean? Like, they can see the disparity between us, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, the more you zoom out, or the more zoomed out you are, the more you kind of feel guilty for the position. So there's a part of Prof that's starting to feel guilty for his success, because he's seeing real people suffering, and right now he's going to be able to survive these economic shifts, but now he's concerned and worried about people that can't, because a lot of people that come up listening to Prof's music are people that are in that box, because Prof represents a side of people that are angry about that. So this is like some personal responsibility shit, despite the fact that it's not his actual responsibility. This is the level of, like, a person being stoic with themselves and thinking about, like, what damage their existence and what they're doing is causing and what strengths they have. Someone who is weighing those and someone who's conscious of that is typically going to make kinder decisions and do nicer things, which we need nice and kind men. It's almost like he's pleading with men to be more cognitive.
You seeing what I'm seeing? Got a fleeting sense of well-being. I'm doing better than I deserve. I'm the luckiest man on this earth. If you got a cough, you can sip my serve. If you're feeling cold, I won't get my shirt. I won't make a sound even if I'm hurt. I'm the luckiest man on this earth. Ooh, let's get it poppin' tonight. I got some booze in the ride. I got some booze in the ride. Who wanna slide? Last night on God, I could've died. All of my twins, mixing in medicine, piling the game. Hall of Fame, and I'm at Damon the rims. Handling biz. Little bitch, put the guns in the biz. Tomboy from around the way. With a tough pistol. Keep me around when your luck is low. Had a whole lot of problems. Fist full of condoms. Just another motherfucking good tomboy. Oh, you're talking to a good.
I think the idea of the twins and all that stuff there is to say that there's just going to be, like, a bunch of people like him, man. And unfortunately, a lot of those people aren't going to make it. I'm telling you, man, I've been on YouTube for like 13 years. And as awesome as it is that I have watchers today, I am still nobody. I don't know how many people try to dive into deep philosophical fucking concepts that they barely know anything about on YouTube. I don't know how many philosophers are out here reacting to YouTube shit. You know what I mean? Not that I'm a philosopher, I'm a moron. But the thing that I'm trying to say is, like, there should be a niche for this. This is what, like, music analysis should look like. You know, maybe aside from the personal anecdotes, but, like, we don't get that. We just get people going, oh shit, oh hell yeah, oh nice, oh stank face. Like, I don't know. Then again, I'm probably just drunk on my own shit. I'm just a snobby guy. But bro, just because you do it doesn't mean it's gonna, like, people are gonna show up. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes people don't recognize what someone's doing until long after they're no longer doing it. Like, didn't that happen with, like, a bunch of, like, masterful, like Bach and shit? Like, some people's theories blow up after they die. Fuck, dude. That's one way to get Jude.
Keep me around when your luck is low. Had a whole lot of problems. Fist full of condoms. Just not the motherfucking good tomboy. Oh, you're talking to a good tomboy. From around the way. Walk around town with a tuck pistol. Keep me around when your luck is low. Had a whole lot of
Something that I said earlier, though, that needs to be taken into, like, context. When I'm talking about the gentleman's absorbing personal responsibility, I'm not saying that he's personally responsible. Not any more than any one of us are, right? Like, we dictate the market by the things we buy, the things we spend our time on. People are going to sell you things if they think they can make money in that domain. People are going to make a product that there's no money for. So just as he's making a product for a thing, we are absorbing that product. We are all participating in the game. That's not to say that he is responsible for anyone's suffering. I know some people hear words and assume malintent when I say things, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about the personal responsibility thing. Not that he's personally responsible for anything, and that he should be ashamed of the things he's done, because I don't think that, and I don't believe that, and I don't think he would think that, and I don't think he believes that. But he might notice the indifference and the suffering of the people around him, and then feel somewhat guilty because even though he worked his ass off to get it, it doesn't feel right that some like a mother of two working 3 jobs is suffering. Not that he's part of the problem, but he's, you know what I mean? Like he can notice that injustice. And noticing that injustice doesn't mean like, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean that like he's indifferent to it. And it doesn't mean he caused it directly. These are complicated topics, but I feel like people don't ever hear me when I say things and they just assume what I'm saying without listening. I don't know.
Luck is low. Keep me around when your luck is low. And a whole lot of problems. Fist full of condoms. Just another motherfucking good time boy. If you're depressed at home, scrolling through your phone or whatever, put your glasses up. Let's put your glasses up right here. I gotta talk.
Come on, Papa Prof. I want to hear it, Daddy. What you got for me, dog? If it's about anti-AI, we're going to get into it right now. I don't want to do that, though.
May we be who our mamas think we are. You know what I'm saying? May we be in heaven a half hour before the devil knows we're gone. You feel me? But most importantly, hug someone you love. And I want you to know that I love you and always will. A good time, boy.
It's a good message to end on. That's a good message to end on.
Whoa.
Whoa. Let that ad play. Switch the camera. Listen. Anytime we make a song talking about love, I like that. But we have to be careful when we do so. Love is never the answer to like 90% of the world's problems. But we should never forget love. And empathy is the core human trait that those that participate in the other should, try to lift up. But sometimes we get so lost in the other, we forget about the self. And that's a dangerous game. For me, people need to spend time with the people they love. But we shouldn't take for granted the system that has helped people, and we should look for ways to remedy that system. But we should be careful what power we give that system, because that power can be utilized in ways against us later. These are all very hard questions that require like deep reflective thought to sparse through. It's always good when music can make you have to enter that domain. Thinking is a dangerous game because it can lead you down roads you don't want to be on. It can lead you into areas where you feel woefully unequipped to navigate. And then when you seek some level of clarification, it gets even more confusing. Thinking is dangerous. But to do so, that's bold in its own way. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go do another dab and think my way up a storm while editing some videos and a few songs. And when I told you I make AI music, I do. And I kind of like it. But I do agree that AI music and music are two separate things, and they should be treated with different levels of respect. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. And the AI bros need to get on board with that. They are not the degree of same level of artistry by any metric and by any definition. They might be just as deep thinkers, but not having the same discipline is also a thinking thing. People that learn an instrument learn a deep discipline, and they have a journey with themselves that AI can't replicate. That's the truth. More AI people need to get on board with that.
Heaven speaks and it speaks not. If faith is a throne made of broken men, I won't bow down to that crown again.